time that we do. We spend doing this, and it's fulfilling. We've reached what 300 people that we've had them expunged. In the length of time that we've been doing this. And this woman here has been a great mentor, and she encourages me along with the clients, everybody, to be a better person. And the clients, when they get their expungement, they come back and they thank us. They give us candy, they hug us, some of them cry because they've been hindered, for years over something that happened 20, 30 years ago. Some of it has been that long and it's still following them around. So I'm happy,
All right.
with the help that I can give people.
Thank you.
My name is Heather Eddy. I graduated from Ivy Tech as well. I'm attending IUSB right now. I would like to get my law degree after I get my bachelor's in criminal justice. In the beginning, I didn't know what I wanted to do. And then I met her and she guided me. And now I want to go all the way till I can't go no more in school. Just to be able to help people and change their life. And you can just I don't know how to even say it.
You can see it.
In there.
You can see the
Yes.
relief, and the gratitude that they have. And I think that's mostly why I do it. And
Right.
being able to help them get back into society, and live better lives.
And the community needs to understand that one line, whether it's on a job application, whether it's on a housing application, have you ever been convicted of a felony, is one of the biggest barriers to even attempting to turn your life around.
It is.
And there's a lot of work being done to try and ban the box, whether it's in employment or on housing applications. But in the meantime, we have this opportunity. So if I get my record expunged, how do I now answer that question? Have you ever been convicted of a felony?
Marcus, you could answer that.
Yeah, the way the law is written, at least in Indiana, is that once your conviction's expunged, you can treat it as if you never had it in the first place. So you can answer truthfully that you don't have a conviction because you've never had it in the first place. At least underneath the law, no employer or anyone can use it against you or be held against you once it's been expunged, because it's to be treated as if you did not have it, and that's because of the exacting requirements that you have to meet in order to be eligible to get an expungement, which is a one-time second chance type opportunity under the law that you're then deserving of being able to truly operate as if you didn't have it, so that you can move forward in confidence in that way. Because the reality is, of course, many employers and other kind of things, if they know you had a criminal record, even if you got it expunged, they're still going to view you through the rose-colored lenses as if you didn't have it expunged. And so it's really to try to put you in a position that you're going to be treated fairly and equally as you would be with anyone else who had never committed that offense in the first place. And the waiting period and things they would suggest is that your likelihood of reoffending, or those aspects, aren't any greater than someone who's never committed offense in the first place once so much time has passed that you've managed to stay out of trouble and you've done all the other things that you have to do to pay fines, fees, court costs, successfully complete your terms of probation and whatnot in order to be eligible for expungement in the first place. You're essentially at the same level of likelihood to offend as someone who had never committed any crime in the first place, because you've obviously shown that you had issues, but you've overcome them and changed whatever you need to change in your life to avoid getting any further criminal convictions.
Yeah, and we feel too, Deborah, that part of our responsibility is also to help educate the public about this. As Marcus said, this is a one-time opportunity. So it's not a license to reoffend.
Right.
It is saying, okay, if you are meeting this particular criteria, and the law is very clear about what that criteria is, if you have met these particular criteria, then you have this one-time opportunity to have those things removed. However, However, if you decide, or if you find yourself in the position where you are committing an offense, those things come right back. They don't
Okay.
disappear. They're not gone. But if you are, in fact, on the right path, you have this one opportunity to have these things gone. And you can say, as Marcus said, nope, I haven't done it. I don't have any criminal history.
So as long as you never re-offend, it's erased.
That's right.
Can once
Sealed,
it's
expunged.
sealed, expunged. So once it is expunged, sealed, can anybody access that information? Is completely obliterated.
Obliterated.
Yeah, there are some limited entities, but they're usually pretty narrow and they're obvious examples. The police agencies will always be able to see it, but they'll see that it will be marked expunged when they go
Okay.
look at it in their records, so they'll know that. That's if they do investigate you in a future criminal activity, they're going to know, maybe you're involved in something you've already been convicted of before. They can't use it against you, but they'll be able to see it. The FBI would be able to see it. If you want to become an attorney in Indiana, the State Board of Bar Examiners would be able to see it, so they might ask questions about it. Again, all of those entities will see that it's been expunged, so they're going to know it's
Something
old,
was, yeah.
and you did whatever you needed to do to get it expunged, because not every conviction can be expunged, and not everything, there's waiting periods, and you have to meet certain criteria for that. Beyond that, the only other example would be someone would have to get a court order from a judge, the subpoena from the judge that expunged it, to ask them to open it back up. That would be pretty rare. Maybe if the IRS is investigating you for a financial fraud, they might want to see if you've been convicted of a fraud before. But obviously, that would be pretty narrow. It would just be them, and it would be pretty rare that anybody's going to be doing any of that. So for the most part, anything that's going to come up on a background check for school, for employment, for housing, to be a volunteer, to be a foster parent, you want to get your gun right restored. I mean, all of the common things that you're going to get a benefit from an expungement, it's not going to come up in the background check when agency runs it or looks for it, so it's not going to impact you as a practical matter, unless you're again trying to be an attorney or you're being investigated for a future crime,
But,
which hopefully you wouldn't be.
But is it saying, and I think just for a point of clarity though, Marcus, if the state police or if the FBI is looking at it, do they see the crime or they just see the word expunged?
Yeah, I mean, they'll see what it was, but they'll see that it's been expunged.
Okay.
So they aren't going to necessarily be able to, go back, because a lot of the records, depending on what it was, also will not exist, at least not in electronic form or even paper form. There's also a difference between if you're getting, because you can have just an arrest record for something you were arrested for and not, but you weren't actually convicted of. That can still show up in a background check, and that still exists on the computers down at the county courthouse. Your mug shot, your fingerprint still exists at the county jail if you don't get that expunged. Now, for those things, if you get an arrest expunged, then it's completely, they literally will mail you your mug shot and your thumbprint so you can shred it or do whatever you want with it. It's literally wiped off the computers, and you're given all paperwork that would exist, so you can destroy it, burn it, keep it, save it, whatever you want to do with it, but it's just completely wiped out. So if it is something you truly, didn't do, not convicted of, if you want to make sure you get that, and because sometimes people will still see even that record, even though, well, I wasn't convicted of it, yeah, but it still came up, and so it may impact someone hiring you or making some of that decision. That's completely wiped out. Anything that was a conviction, it will just be marked as being expunged, but only those very narrow agencies will be able to access it anymore. So
would I have to file separately to expunge like felony conviction, misdemeanors, and arrest records? Are all of those separate filings, or is it combined?
it would, you can combine it all into one petition when you file it with the courts. You would list your complete record. These things were just arrests. These things were just convictions. And then you would also say there was a, A misdemeanor conviction versus a D felony versus the higher level felonies. You put them in the correct categories because the language is a little different in terms of treatment and eligibility. But you file one petition and you would include the entirety of your record. And this is your entirety criminal record from the entire state. So you could have one conviction, you could have 20 prior convictions, but if they're all things that can be expunged, you can get them all wiped out. The only separate thing is that you do have to make a request in each county in which you were convicted. So you've got convictions in Elkhart County and St. Joe County, then you have to file 2 petitions, one with Elkhart and one with St. Joe. Now, you're still given 1 year from the date you file the first one to file the next one, so you don't have to figure out how to be in both counties on the same day to file or
Okay.
anything. You've got plenty of time to get anywhere else you would need in Indiana in order to file what you would need to file. And of course, there are methods you can file via mail and those kind of things too. So if you've got a conviction in Evansville and you live in South Bend, you don't have to necessarily go there in order to do it. There are ways, like all legal filings, to file via certified mail in that aspect. So it's doable for people, just a matter of gathering the records and figuring out what you need to file and then putting them together.
So what's the difference between a sealed record and an expunged record?
Mr. Attorney.
The way it worked under the law, you kind of have 5 broad categories. Like I said, things that were just arrested didn't lead to a conviction because you were acquitted at trial, the prosecutor's office never charged you. Those would be actually truly completely expunged, like I said, destroyed. Things that are misdemeanors or the lowest level felonies, D felonies, those are expunged. And so, like I said, when someone goes to look at that, again, just the police or FBI, they would just see that you had something there and it was expunged. I'm not going to see all the details or any of that aspect, like what it was. They'll just know it was a misdemeanor or a lower felony. The higher level ones, those are, they'll still see what it was, but it's still marked expunged. Again, it's still just the FBI, the police in that aspect, so they'll be able to see, okay, you had a C-level felony for cocaine possession, so they'll know what it specifically was that you got expunged. And so that would be more the aspect of, sealing versus expunging, like for the other things where they just see you had a case, but they don't even know what it was. As a practical matter, since they can't use it against you anyway, it would just be if they were investigating you for something going forward, the court, the legislator would determine, well, they don't probably need to know what misdemeanor you might have had going forward. It may be useful for them to know if you had a higher level aspect of investigating you for something higher to be able to see, okay, what it was in that aspect. If you're the FBI or the police or the State Board of Bar Examiners, those other relatively narrow, limited aspects. But, again, as a practical matter, anyone doing a background check, for housing, for employment, for education, it's not going to come up on them either way. So
Whether it's sealed or whether it's expunged.
Okay, so
Okay.
no
So it-
one
yeah.
can have access.
Unless, as Marcus said,
Oh,
it is a police department or
Right,
FBI
right.
or something like that.
But I'm
That
just-
it's treated the same.
Okay.
For those that are housing or school or whatever,
Okay.
or a job application or that. And I think at this point, this might be a good time, Deborah, for the public to know that part of our charge, or part of the things that we do, is educate the public. So we are available to come out. We've conducted in the past, when we first started doing this, and we're still doing it, these half an hour, 45-minute sessions where we come to a group, and we'll do a small group or we'll do a larger group, where we come as a group and we talk to individuals. Marcus will educate on the law. Then we talk about the process, what has to happen in order for you to get your record expunged. And then we give individuals the opportunity or the option to either work with us, or we let them know if they want to do it on their own, the process, they can do it on their own, or they can hire an attorney to do it. And I think one of the key things, as Marcus said, often people think that if they've got 20 felonies or 10 misdemeanors and 2 felonies, that each one has to be on a separate petition, and that's not the case at all. All of these can be on a single petition, but it's just the formatting for that. So we are available, and somebody can give their number because I'm not good with phone numbers. So they'll know how to reach out to us if they're interested in us coming out and presenting. We can talk to large groups or small groups and educate on the process. And like I said, Marcus can talk about and will talk about what the law in Indiana is.